Welcome to another DFO Fantasy Show. It is Wednesday, December the 17th. I'm your host, Brock Segan, managing fantasy editor of dailyfaceoff.com. And today we've got fantasy hockey news and notes, Brock's lock of the day, and then we've got Beebs Bondi joining us in the second half of the show to go over the best waiver wire pickups for week 11 of the fantasy hockey season, because it is Waiver Wire Wednesday. But let's start with the news and notes. We got some big names included in today's news and notes, and that will start with Jack Eichel, who left Tuesday's practice with an illness. Shea Theodore also banged up for the Vegas Golden Knights. He's dealing with an upper body injury. Both are questionable to play Wednesday versus the Devils. It sounds like Theodore is a little bit more questionable, a little bit more, I guess, doubtful to play. Eichel seems, fairly likely, but again, dealing with an illness, you never know, you can never be too sure. So both of them, consider them questionable until this afternoon's morning skate. Then we go to San Jose. We talked about Will Smith a little bit yesterday. We got a timeline on him finally. He will miss the rest of this week. He will be reevaluated on Monday for a potential return before Christmas. They got one game before the Christmas break on Tuesday, so he'll be reevaluated Monday. He'll miss the rest of this week. To Tampa, yesterday we talked a little bit about Andrei Vasilevskiy, and then after the show we got news that he has been activated from injured reserve on Tuesday, which sets him up for a return versus the Kings on Thursday. So not confirmed or likely to start that game. I would imagine that he will, now that he's been activated, but just obviously check dailyfaceoff.com tomorrow to make sure that he's starting. But should be a good matchup for Vasilevskiy to return to. The Kings offense has been pretty brutal, and they are now without Darcy Kemper, who is our next bit of news here. He was placed on IR yesterday, so he's going to miss at least the next 3 games. No timeline has been provided for how long they expect him to be out, but they've got a back-to-back today and tomorrow, so that is the game against the Lightning tomorrow. So Vasilevskiy should get the Kings in the second half of a back-to-back, with most likely, I would imagine, Phoenix Copley between the pipes. And then there are 2 games next week. Should Kemper not be back, is also a back-to-back. So you have to imagine that Forsberg and Copley will share the crease on those 2 back-to-backs. Anton Forsberg is out there on the waiver wires, but if you're really desperate for goaltending help, he should get 2 starts over the next week. So could help you out. Hasn't been great this year, but the Kings do defend pretty well, so he's not the worst pickup, but just keep an eye on him. And then lastly, let's go to New Jersey, where the Devils placed Simon Nemec on injured reserve. He's expected to miss at least 2 weeks. He will be evaluated after the holiday break, so expecting to see him sometime around the new year, or at least get an update on him sometime around the new year. But that's going to do it for news and notes for December the 17th. Now let's get to Brock's lock of the day. This segment is a presentation of Betway. Join the action and download the Betway app. Create an account today and enjoy our sign-up bonus. 18 plus. Please play responsibly. Luckily, Rasmus Andersson got us back in the win column yesterday. We had him over 2.5 shots on goal at plus 110. He had 5 shots on goal. He is just firing absolutely everything on net. So, nice to get back in the win column there. Brings us to 18 and 13 on the season, plus 7.7% ROI. So feeling pretty good about that there. And then we're going to go to another blue liner tonight, where we've got Noah Hanifin at plus 100 to get over 1.5 shots on goal. Hanifin has hit this mark in 6 straight games, averaging 2.8 shots on goal and 5.3 shot attempts per game during that stretch. And the Devils are an above average matchup, giving up the 13th most shots against on the season and the 10th most shots against in their last 10 games. So even with Shea Theodore in the lineup, I like this bet. Hanifin's been able to hit this bet with regularity with Theodore in the lineup. But if Theodore, as we mentioned, dealing with an upper body injury, misses tonight's game, Hanifin should take on additional minutes, and that makes this bet all the more likely to hit. On the season, Hanifin has hit this mark in 16 of 21 games. That is a 76.2% hit rate, or the equivalent of minus 321. Tonight, you get it at plus 100. On the season, he's averaging 2.6 shots on goal and 5.7 shot attempts. So really, really like this one tonight at Betway at plus 100, and that is going to do it for Brock's lock of the day. Now let's welcome in our friend, Beebs Bondi. Beebs, how's it going, bud?
Extra festive today, Brock. We are doing fantastic. I missed you. It's been 2 weeks since I got to see that glorious face. That's a lie. We see each other every day. But it's good to have you back on air, and glad you got a trip under your sails there. But we're doing great. Funny enough, we actually sent out the script last week to each other. before recording, and I decided to go with 4 of 5 players that I had last week. They just continued to cook. So that's kind of just a little pat on my back that they are, still relevant and still under owned. I will fully disclaimer say the 5th player was Simon Nemec out in New Jersey, and he's a little injured right now. So we had to bring in a 5th body here. But it's good to see, a couple names just staying relevant and staying consistent and under owned at this point, because it's kind of an issue we've ran into each week is we are, the good guys are getting scooped up, which is what we're here for. So it's going to be fun to bring back some names after 14 days of not doing so.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, my names, I feel like I'm in like a time warp here. Some of the guys I'm going to talk about today, very old and players that used to be a lot more fantasy relevant than they are today. So let's get right into it with the first pickup of the day, and I'll start with John Klingberg of the San Jose Sharks, who is currently 34% rostered. So I combined on ice expected goals for, offensive generating plays, and individual expected goals per game over the last month, all per Sports Logic. And Klingberg, in those metrics, ranks 26th among defensemen in the NHL. Last night, he scored on his first shot of the game, giving him 5 goals and 3 assists for 8 points in his last 5 games. Now, Beebs, I don't know about you. I don't think that he can maintain the 83.3% shooting percentage he's had during that stretch. It seems a little high for a defenseman. But in the last 15 games, he's averaging 1.5 shots on goal, which is kind of low, but he is averaging 4.3 shot attempts. So he is trying to get pucks on net. And the really nice thing is that he's averaging over 22.5 minutes per game. So again, in the last month, in terms of on ice expected goals for, he's 25th among defensemen. And in terms of individual expected goals for, he's 19th among defensemen. So he is a top 25 offensive defenseman right now and should clearly be owned in a lot more than 34% of leagues. And I think what's so interesting about Klingberg and the Sharks and like Macklin, Celebrini, like the underlying metrics for Celebrini and company have not been very good, but they just continue to defy logic and overcome it. So I'm kind of done just pushing back against it and just starting to embrace it here. And Klingberg, I think we talked about him a lot in the preseason as a guy that could be a really sneaky pickup as your number 4 defenseman, and that is exactly how things have worked out. So no, I don't expect him to continue to shoot 83%, but maybe 8% would be nice because he's scoring at a nice clip right now, and I do think that he can continue to provide you with some fantasy relevance at the bottom of your roster as your kind of 3rd or 4th defenseman in the lineup. So give me John Klingberg at 34%, the first of my veteran pickups of the day. Beebs, any thoughts on Klingberg, or who do you got next?
Yeah, actually, if we would have did this episode last week, John Klingberg 6%, so he's gone up 28% since we are in 7 days there, and that'll happen as we've seen with the 5 goals in the last 5 games. Hilarious enough, John Klingberg, the reason you likely would have him on your team right now is due to a couple of healthy scratches. So this is going to help us out in fantasy. Now he's hopefully in the lineup for good. I love him as an option here. And he was actually, oddly enough, a must draft in our opening kit for me because I just thought he was such a steal in that position if you needed the D help. So it's good to see it come around here. Speaking of people, though, who were kind of, let's call them friends of the show. My pick here is Josh Doan, currently 31%. He's up 11% since last week in the last 7 days. And that's just because Josh Doan's been cooking this season. And, well, as of late altogether, he's currently power play 1 and L1 with Tage Thompson. We love that. We've talked about it many times in the show. When Doan was traded alongside Michael Kesselring for JJ Peterka in the offseason from Utah, they kind of expect him to take a little bit of time to get adjusted to the lineup. Meanwhile, he's basically matched Peterka's stats with 23 points to Peterka's 25 this season, and kind of just been a very equivalent player, which has been fantastic to see and has turned into some fantasy results for us. The 23-year-old has shown just an extreme amount of confidence as of late, and that led to his promotion to Buffalo's top power play and top line in the last little bit. He's currently up to 82 shots on goal in 32 games. You know how much we love a shooter. And he's been, as I mentioned, pretty hot as of late. He has 8 points in his last 8 games. That's 3 goals. And during that time, he has 21 shots on goal. That's 2.6 shots per game. That's good to push him over 200 in a year if he keeps that up. 5 of those 8 points, though, have been on the power play. So that's where I'm really excited here. It shows that Josh Doan is here to stay on power play 1 in Buffalo. One thing, too, is we were a little worried with certain people coming back from injury that he could get pushed off. And even when they had a fully healthy lineup, Josh Doan continued to occupy power play 1. So on a show where we're kind of always looking for people who have long-term longevity, I guess is the word we're looking for there. This is a guy who's lining up perfectly for it. He's doing everything right. He's shooting the puck. He's playing in the top six. He's playing on the top power play. So at 31%, I still think he is a little bit under-owned. And if you want to actually take it back even further than those 8 games, he has 14 points in his last 16 games, 38 shots to accompany that. So he's doing quite well. He has 11 hits in those 16 games. He kind of just fills every category. And for a guy who I think a lot of us probably had him at like maybe a 30-point player this year, it's been awesome to see him start to flirt closer and closer to a point per game. And this is just amazing production. I can definitely say, even though we've been suggesting him since probably 3%, I did not expect it to keep up. And now that it is, and it's clearly sustainable, I want to get behind Josh Doan, and I think we all should too.
Yeah, it's kind of like our weekly mention of bringing up Josh Doan, who just seemingly continues to flirt around 30% and not really get any higher. I did the same exercise I did with Klingberg for forwards as well. And in terms of 5v5 expected goals for per game in the last month, Josh Doan is 18th in the NHL in terms of individual expected goals for. So generating a lot of high quality looks. And you know, that's just at 5v5, and then the fact that he's on the top power play unit helps a lot. I didn't mention him or have him as a pickup because we've talked about him a lot recently, but Josh Norris of the same team, Buffalo Sabres, has been extremely good as well. Over that same stretch, Josh Norris is actually second in the NHL in individual expected goals for per game at 5v5, also on the top power play unit. He's been absolutely excellent. And in terms of just like the on-ice XG, the offensive generating plays, and the individual expected goals, Josh Norris grades out as the 16th best forward in those categories right now. He has just been absolutely fantastic. So didn't want to bring him up again because we've talked about him a lot in the last few weeks, but he's still just 32% owned and makes a lot of sense right now. And just one other name I just want to bring up. Anthony Cirelli has like no points in his last 10 games, but that line is just dominating and his underlying metrics are so outstanding. So if you're looking for a couple of strict centers between Cirelli and Josh Norris, just a couple of added names here for you on the DFO Fantasy Show. Let's move it along now. We will get to a couple of Nashville Predators for me and another veteran pickup. We've got Ryan O'Reilly at 30% rostered, but it's more than just O'Reilly. We're also going to talk about Luke Evangelista, who's at 12% rostered. The Predators' top line of Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Evangelista has been really, really strong this year. They're averaging 3.1 expected goals for per 60 and 31.2 scoring chances for and 15.6 high danger chances for per 60. All three are very, very strong rates, and they've really been one of the better lines in the NHL at 5v5 this season. And both O'Reilly and Evangelista have been great and are readily available on the waiver wire. So let's start with the production for Ryan O'Reilly. He has 13 points, 4 goals, 9 assists in his last 10 games, while averaging 20 minutes and 41 seconds per game. The downside for O'Reilly is that it's just been a lack of shot volume. So these two players are very different. O'Reilly doesn't shoot a lot. Evangelista shoots a ton. We'll get to him in a second. Just 1.3 shots on goal per game during that stretch. So the goal production, 4 goals in 10 games is obviously great. That won't be as consistent, but with the usage and the really strong underlying metrics, it should continue to lead to really strong assist production for O'Reilly. And we know he's going to score some goals. He's a player that can get to the dirty areas of the ice and put the puck in the back of the net. But the shot volume is going to make the goal production a little bit less reliable than the assist production. But I really like what he's done so far. So again, now you've got Josh Norris, you've got Anthony Cirelli, and Ryan O'Reilly. So if you've lost Connor Bedard recently and you need help at center, we've got 3 names there for you that make some sense. And then now let's talk about Evangelista, who I actually prefer to O'Reilly just because the shot volume is significantly stronger. He has 13 points, 2 goals, and 11 assists in his last 11 games. And in his last 17 games, he's averaging 2.4 shots on goal and 4.4 shot attempts per game while playing 17 and a half minutes per night. Evangelista has always had good shot volume. We know that about him. The shot volume has always been strong, but he converts at a very low rate, shooting just 8.7% for his career. So that's kind of the downside. But it just, it's different where it's not like, okay, this guy's not just on a shooting heater, right? He's somebody that if he gets on a shooting heater is going to go nuts. Because, just obviously doesn't have maybe the best shot or the best at, creating high danger chances and converting on them, because an 8.7% shooting percentage is quite low. And if that ticks up even just a little bit and he starts converting at a slightly better clip, he's going to be a good goal scorer. He's going to be an incredible pickup, but the assist production's already there. The goal production should improve slowly because the shot volume is really good. So I just really, really like this line in Nashville. I think the Predators have really started to find their game a little bit as of late, playing some better hockey. And a lot of it just goes through this top line of Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Evangelista. We know how good Forsberg is. We know how good Roman Josi is. Evangelista is a guy that we've talked about a lot in the past. O'Reilly is just kind of one that either he's saying that he sucks at hockey or he's playing well, which he is now. So those early season struggles seem to be behind him and the Predators, and I think they both make worthwhile pickups right now. Beebs, any thoughts on the Predators top line, or do you want to get on to your next pick?
I'm just super happy Evangelista got a shout out. He's been one of these players who's kind of been sneaky producing for a couple weeks, and you've just been like, why is he still below double-digit own percentage? So it's good to see him up there at 12%. Another guy I'm pretty excited about too, because as much as he is producing on 5v5, if something were to happen where he takes a step forward to power play 1, I think he's almost a must own in leagues less than 12 owners. So definitely someone to keep an eye on there. And if you're producing without power play time, it's nice because you can still be on rosters and there's just room for so much more growth. But to bring out my fourth player here, I'm very excited about this one. It is Anthony Mantha out in Pittsburgh, currently occupying power play 1, currently on line 3. And before 7 days ago, he was at 8%. He's currently up to 14%. And that's another one where I'm like, this should be skyrocketing right now with Mantha's recent play. When Mantha signed in Pittsburgh after a season-ending ACL injury with Calgary last season, it was actually days after I remember suggesting him in fantasy because he was getting it going, tore that ACL, and lost the season. And he signed with Pittsburgh this year kind of as a reclamation project. And instead, he's provided them with some incredibly valuable depth scoring. He currently has 10 goals, 22 points, and 60 shots on goal through 32 games played. And ever since Evgeny Malkin went down last week, he's really proven that he has that ability to fill in as one of their top scorers when they need it. With Malkin out week to week and expected to not return in a little bit, as mentioned, Mantha's taken a massive step forward and stepped onto Pittsburgh's top power play while basically shooting everything possible. His original kind of knock this year, and the reason why I think he's lower in own percentage, is just because he didn't have that ability to shoot, and he wasn't necessarily putting the puck on net as we've seen in years past. And then with Malkin going down, we've seen him just kind of decide, hey, you know what, I'm going to be that guy. In his last 6 games, he has 36 shot attempts, which is good for 6 shot attempts per game. He has 19 shots on goal. That's good for over 3 shots per game. And he's followed that up by just casually putting up 8 points in his last 8 games played with that. So it seems like he's kind of made the connection. Hey, if I shoot, I'm going to put up points. And when he does, he's producing. And to be on Pittsburgh's top power play right now seems to have a little bit of fantasy value. And somewhere, I think people are straying away from Mantha because it might look like he's on line 3 in Pittsburgh, but it's a loose line 3, line 2. You could easily make the case that that's the second line in Pittsburgh, as Ben Kindle and Rutger McGrody are technically they're the second line there. I was getting a little bit worried just seeing, maybe he would slow down. And then last night he proceeded to come out and put up 2 apples, 4 shots on goal, and do everything that I got excited about. So as long as Mantha's occupying that top power play, I think he's definitely worth a look. And with 22 points in 32 games, even before this premium position, he definitely was worth a look, or at least a stream spot. So now I think you got to work him into those lineups and enjoy him while he's hot and on Pittsburgh's top power play.
Yeah, and obviously, I think the most important part of this is that he's on this Penguins top power play unit, which has just been absolutely lethal this year, right? They have converted at 31.1%, which is the third best mark in the league, trailing only the Edmonton Oilers, who we know are dominant on the power play, and the Dallas Stars, who have been insane on the power play this year. So the top power play unit right now is a very important spot for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and Mantha seems to be fitting in there nicely. Ben Kindle, when he gets up there, he's as valuable. When he's on the second power play unit, he's not as valuable. That is just the most valuable spot on the Penguins roster right now. So yeah, I think the other thing too is that we've really seen an increase in ice time for Anthony Mantha. He's up around 19 minutes a night over the last 6 games. That's been massive. The shot volume, as a Red Wings fan and watching this guy a ton in the early parts of his career, like he has a phenomenal shot. He has got a great release, and that is his strength. So when he's using it, Anthony Mantha is at his best. And playing 19 minutes a night on that top power play unit, it's a really, really good spot. Again, it might only be a couple week ad here, and when Malkin comes back and loses that top power play unit spot, the production might dry up a little bit, but right now, man, he is a fantastic pickup and certainly one of my favorites for sure. Let's start to get to some of our deeper league shouts now, and we're just going to keep rolling with veterans today. I'm going to go to Vladimir Tarasenko. I did not think that I would mention Vladimir Tarasenko this year after he was bought out by the Red Wings in the offseason, but it's 8% rostered. Tarasenko, man, had it absolutely vintage performance last night.
Sure did.
He absolutely dominated the Washington Capitals. He had 2 goals, 1 assist, 4 shots on goal, and 8 shot attempts in just 16 minutes of ice time. He had a couple of highlight reel plays. The goal he set up for Daniil Yurov was just remarkable. And I don't know, maybe the Quinn Hughes trade rejuvenated this veteran, and he's going to start putting up numbers moving forward. I will say that the underlying metrics certainly aren't very friendly, and this is kind of the opposite of somebody that I would usually suggest. But I just think that with 3 games left this week, it's kind of this perfect opportunity to see, like, okay, is Tarasenko kind of back? Stream him for the rest of the week. If he does absolutely nothing in the next 3 games, then you drop him for a streamer next week. I just really like him as a short-term flyer to see what's going on here, because he looked like his old self yesterday. Like it was remarkable. And I think the one thing that you just want to look at Tarasenko and say is like, okay, the production's been okay lately, but he's on power play 1 in Minnesota. And that's a top power play unit now that features Quinn Hughes, Kirill Kaprizov, and not to mention Joel Eriksson and Matt Boldy. So he is in a really good spot to find some production on that top power play unit. You have to imagine that is going to be among the best units in the league. And yeah, I just think the rest of this week, I'm going to pick him up in those deep formats. Again, in 12-team leagues, am I getting to Tarasenko right now? Probably not. But in Columbus tomorrow, then against Edmonton on Saturday, and then against Colorado on Sunday. So not the best matchups over the weekend, but yeah, I'm going to pick him up for these 3 games, see what he's got. If he does nothing and just kind of goes back to his new self, then yeah, I'll drop him next week. But right now, I think he's worth the flyer in those deep formats just to see, is Tarasenko back? Because, man, like yesterday, Pete Blackburn tweeted out, like, what is going on here with Tarasenko? What year is it? And then that assist to Yurov was something else. So, yeah, he's been definitely productive as of late. If you take a look at his last 5 games, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points, 2.6 shots on goal per game, 4.8 shot attempts, averaging over 18.5 minutes a night. Yeah, pretty interested to see where this one goes.
Yeah, and friend of the show, actually, Brock mentioned him probably, I believe it was our 2nd or 3rd year. I remember him being your sleeper back when he played in St. Louis. So good to see Tarasenko come around and have his name on your tongue again. But it is a lot of fun to watch, even though, as you guys know, as an Avs fan, I struggle to watch Minnesota games.
It's weird, like how we kind of just forget how good players used to be, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he had 30 goal seasons every year for like 100 years, it seemed like he averaged 36 goals per season between 2015 and 2019. Now we're talking about a decade ago for some of those seasons. So it's obviously, his age 34 season. He's not the same player he once was, but I mean, if he's somewhat back, kind of
there's
intrigued.
something in there. There's something
intrigued.
In there. And you know what? While we're doing veterans, screw it. Let's do another one. Let's throw in Alex Wennberg. Wow, we are really digging into the pot here. But Alex Wennberg out in San Jose, currently 11% owned. That's up 2% actually in the last 12 hours. But he's occupying power play 1 and line 2. Alex Wennberg is eating ice time this season. It's absolutely insane. He currently is averaging 20-36 time on ice. That ranks him 18th in the NHL among forwards, and the 17 players ahead of him are basically top 50 fantasy draft picks. So you don't really have a chance at them anyways on the free or on the waiver wire. So that's a great start for Wennberg. But let's just get into what the veteran's done as of late. He has 9 points in his last 5 games played. That's 2 goals, 7 assists. And during that time, he has 12 shots on goal. Now, if Anthony Mantha's kind of thing was he doesn't shoot enough, then Alex Wennberg can't even find the puck to shoot it. That because he is just not a regular shot on goal producer. He never has been back to his Columbus days. But as of late, with all this ice time, it seems that the pill's just kind of going towards the net, and that's leading to some success. As I mentioned, 12 shots on goal in his last 5 games. That's over 2 per game, and clearly a little more productive than the 42 he has in 34 this year. He's on his second line right now with William Eklund and Tyler Toffoli. We've seen them kind of excel a little bit there. We saw Will Smith go down the other night, get placed on IR, and some people thought that maybe that would cause them to break up that second line or do some things with the first line. Instead, they just brought in a rookie, plugged him in there, casually won 6-3 last night, and the second line continued to roll with Wennberg getting himself another assist. He's on pace for 53 points this year with his kind of slow early start. So if you add in his recent play, just with all the ice time, he's clearly a favorite to his head coach. And when that happens, it usually leads to some fantasy production. I know myself, I'm in a couple leagues where he's probably on the edge of, I don't necessarily want to own him, but I'm going to absolutely consider him for a spot start, especially when if it's between him at 23 minutes a night or someone who's only getting about 15. I wouldn't mind the extra 8 minutes time on ice tonight. That's usually going to lead to a shot or two more, a block, a hit, who knows. But Alex Wennberg here really excelling. And with Will Smith going out there, it is unfortunate, but it should just solidify his spot on that top power play and makes him, as I mentioned, just kind of a nice guy to plug into your lineup when you need some assists. And at this point, could help with some shots. That's pretty nice to see. I'm loving the veteran episode, Brock. How do you feel about Alex Wennberg?
Yeah, I mean, from a real hockey standpoint, Wennberg might be one of the most underappreciated players in the league. Sure. From a fantasy standpoint, like the shot volume is actually better than it usually is. So I think it makes him more viable than normal. 2.8 shot attempts per game over his last 5 games. It's kind of abnormal for him, but we'll take it. But yeah, just a really good playmaker, surrounded with some talent here, with Eklund, with Toffoli. I think that line, they're generating a decent amount of looks, 28 scoring chances, 4 per 60, which is solid, 28 and a half, 10 high danger. Like they're not an elite line, but they're solid enough. And he's a good playmaker in terms of the offensive generating plays. He's top 80 in the NHL per game at 5v5. So yeah, he's gonna, make some great passes, and he's going to pick up some assists. I do have some concerns in terms of the goal production because, the shot volume is not great, but 67th in the league in offensive driving plays in all situations among forwards in the last month. So, yeah, he's up there with, in terms of, like, guys he's around in terms of offensive driving plays, Jason Robertson, Mikko Rantanen, Robert Thomas. So, not bad company. He's been pretty solid. Definitely getting the pucks to the right area, and that's leading to points, and that's going to continue to lead to points for him. So, don't mind it. But you got another shark to talk about as well. So 3 sharks in one episode. It's a veteran and shark episode heavy episode today. So take it away.
Yeah, get this. 3 sharks, 2 Nashville players in an episode. So
yeah, what's going on?
Take it as you will. But I got Collin Graf out in San Jose, still at 1%. And again, full disclosure, I had Collin Graf a week ago as my 0% pickup. So now he's up to 1%. It's good to see that own percentage just skyrocketing here. But regardless, Graf's been on a line with Mac and Celebrini for over a week now, and it doesn't seem that people are really paying attention to that. When he was upgraded to the line with Celebrini and Will Smith last Sunday, so I guess that would have been about 10 days ago, he rewarded them by scoring 33 seconds into his first shift on that line, and due to that, he's remained a top-line player in San Jose. Also, since the upgrade, he has 6 points in 6 games played. He has 11 shots on goal, and unfortunately, with Smith landing on IR, it was kind of looked like it could be a fantasy hit for him. And then, as I mentioned, they brought in a rookie last night. Also, I believe 1% owned. So if you kind of want to just go with either winger as a we're bottom of the barrel here. So if you want to go with either winger out in San Jose on that top line, feel free. But we're just going to focus on Graf. Last night, as mentioned, they won 6-3. Graf had an assist. He had a shot on goal. He kept that point streak kind of going, and that recent productivity going. As I mentioned, 6 points in his last 6 games. He's a 23-year-old undrafted player, and he's shown that he can kind of take on premium minutes. We've seen him play 19-17 2 nights ago, and he didn't look out of place at all for an undrafted, first line player. So as long as he's occupying this top line with Celebrini, who's just on absolute fire as of late. Celebrini had 4 more points last night. He's doing spinoramas. He's doing things that I couldn't even imagine doing in Chell right now. And he has 51 points in 34 games. So if you're going to be alongside Celebrini with that production, as a 1% player, I like what could happen. Granted, we could have practice in 3-4 days here. Collin Graf could be on the fourth line in San Jose. And if that's the case, you don't even consider what I'm saying here. But as long as he's occupying the line with Celebrini, I like what's happening. I do think that, if he continues to show that he has this offensive bug in him, then he could find his way up onto some power play time. And with that, even more value for a 1% player. Graf also helps you in banger leagues. He has 34 hits in 33 games, and that's not too bad. So we take that. He also has 34 shots on goal in 33 games. So he's a little bit of a Wennberg effect here, but don't be too thrown off by that shot on goal production. A lot of that happened while he's being buried in the lineup. So as I mentioned, 11 shots on goal in his last 6 games, near 2 per game. He's on a line with 51-point man, Mac and Celebrini. Collin Graf, very interesting target right now. And one, if he does remain on this line, will be closer to probably 5% by the end of the week. So if you are in a very deep league, these are the guys you got to jump on. I know I have a few. I have people, Brock, that I text as they reach the waiver wire in ESPN, and this was one that kind of he didn't reach it, but at 0%, it was one that I could get behind and be like, jump on him, boys. Again, deepest of leagues here. So, but good to see Collin Graf doing well in a great position.
Yeah, a little surprised that he got a mention on a fantasy hockey podcast, but he we are talking, these are our deep league targets. And yeah, the shot volume is perked up a little bit, 3.5 shot attempts per game over his last 8. Really good offensive pedigree in college, was kind of one of the more highly touted undrafted free agent signings. And yeah, good AHL numbers. He's got an offensive game, and anybody playing with Macklin Celebrini right now is worth a look, because he's just one of the best players on earth right now. Let's go to our banger league targets. I've got Mackie Samoskevich of the Florida Panthers. His usage is pretty modest. He's usually around 15 or 16 minutes a night, but man, he makes the absolute most of his ice time. He has averaged 2.7 shots on goal, 5.0 shot attempts, and 2.9 hits per game in his last 12 games, while also tallying 7 points, including 2 goals. Over the last month, he is top 25 in terms of shots on goal and shot attempts per 60, and top 40 among forwards in hits per 60. So he is just a low-cost category stuffer. He does the most with limited ice time, and then is just got a little bit of offensive flair to his game as well. So I really like Samoskevich as an option this moving forward in banger formats. He is a great pickup, and he's going to provide some category coverage for you, but also has that little bit of offensive ability to go along with it. So give me Samoskevich at 6% rostered. Who is your banger league target to close out the show?
My pickup here actually double dips, and he applies in regular leagues as well. I think he's a fantastic pickup right now. It's Jake Neighbours, out your friendly neighbor out in St. Louis. He's currently 21% owned. That's gone up 6% in the last 24 hours. He's officially on power play 1 and line 1 in St. Louis. But we're talking about a banger target here. So let's talk about how Jake Neighbours bangs. In his last 8 games, Jake Neighbours has 32 hits. That's good for 4 a game. During that time, he has 6 points, which is just not too bad, and 12 shots on goal. So he's kind of filling every category, but that 4 hit per game pace is something that I'm just licking my chops at. And it's great to see, especially now that he's getting elevated to top line and top 6 usage. As mentioned, this elite usage has kind of just turned into solid production for him. 8 goals, 15 points in his last 22 games played. That's a 30-goal pace across an 82-game season, which is pretty crazy for a guy who was, as mentioned, close to 15% just a few days ago. What's wild about that 30-goal, 56-point pace, though, is he's also on a 231 hit pace this season. That would have ranked him 16th amongst all players last season, and ahead of category fillers like Brady. Wow, got me there. But Brady Tkachuk, category filler, and just goes to show that where people pay a premium for a guy like Brady TK, you can find someone like Jake Neighbours off your free agency. That's kind of just the Walmart version of him. And for banger leagues, he's going to fill those categories and score some goals. As mentioned, we've seen him move up to power play 1, which in previous shows we've kind of bashed just what's happening in St. Louis due to injuries, nothing producing. But Neighbours is, he is a goal scorer. And if he's going to do that while hitting everything that moves, again, 4 hits per game in his last 8, he's worth a look in your banger leagues. He's worth a look in your regular leagues. 6 points in his last 8 games. So keep an eye out there for Jake Neighbours. I expect once people start to figure out how much he's hitting, that number to boost up closer to 30%. So it's good to see while there's injuries. Got to take advantage of them.
Yeah, I imagine that most of his own percentage is probably already on in those banger formats, but still definitely out there. And I had him as a streamer this week because, schedule lines up nicely for the St. Louis Blues. And that, with all the injuries in St. Louis, they've kind of consolidated that top line. And then they move it around, and then they, there's just so many moving parts right now. He's expected. He was with Thomas and Buchnevich, and I really liked him there. And now he's expected to be with Dvorsky, tonight. So it's going to be interesting to see where he slots in the lineup. Long term, a lot of moving pieces. They got Jonathan Berggren coming over off the waivers, a waiver claim from Detroit. So just a lot of moving parts in St. Louis right now with all of their injuries. But Neighbours has been playing steady minutes. The top power play unit usage is nice. The hit volume is just ridiculous, bonkers. And like you said, St. Louis Blues not the best hockey club right now, so don't have the puck very frequently, and that leads to lots of hits for Jake Neighbours. But that's going to do it for this edition of the DFO Fantasy Show. As always, Beebs Bondi will join us every single Wednesday. We will go over our favorite waiver wire pickups. I'm hoping that next week there are fewer Sharks, fewer Predators, and fewer veterans. I would like to see some young names come through. Thank God for Josh Doan bringing down the average age of today's episode a little bit. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Absolutely. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, and then I'll be back tomorrow with Dylan D. Berthew as we go over the best weekend streaming options for Week 11 of the fantasy hockey season. We'll see you back here then.
Can't wait to see you both on screen. Peace.
Thanks for watching this video. If you want more great fantasy hockey and betting content from myself, Carter Hutton, Matthew Barnaby, and the rest of the DFO analysts, make sure you subscribe to the DFO Fantasy and Betting YouTube channel today and never miss a minute.